Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Deshawn, and I am a student, a kinesiology student, and I would be conducting research this summer at Ma Strength Camp in China. And this will be the beginning of a very long research project. So, my research project is called the Relative Strength Project. And in order to customize training programs for each individual, um, regardless of their demographic, I would like to understand the things that are taken into account for relative strength. So, the relative strength equation says that you have X amount of force that you can produce based on your body weight. So, it's the force in kgs over your body weight in kgs. However, this is a very objective view. It doesn't actually go into anything else. There are other kinds of strength out there, such as starting strength, maximal strength, speed strength, etc., and endurance. And this all contributes to how the muscles of the human body can work to their maximum capacity. And by understanding how different demographic groups and the culture that is behind each demographic group is looking toward these changes and having a direct effect on them is going to allow us to have a better understanding of why this equation makes sense. And what my study will be including is first doing a multiple regression study. So, what this includes is looking at the speed, the maximal strength, the endurance, looking at gender, age, and different cultures and different ranges of motions and biomechanics that are involved in producing force. And the ultimate long term effect is looking at genetics. So, looking at how, for instance, a Chinese lifter versus a African American lifter versus a Caucasian or Hispanic lifter can produce X amount of force, and what genetic differences allow for that to occur. Um, it's very present in things like bodybuilding and in sports, where you see certain demographic groups outperforming their counterparts. However, there is not a lot of work done for the general population, which is why we're here today. And the forward application of this is going to be utilization of gene therapy. So, gene therapy is something that is in the works right now. It's in its very primitive stages, and it's in its very novel stage as well, because what it allows us to do is to look at certain genetic markers and others, and also combine this with stem cell research to provide a decrease in the overall allowance of certain diseases, muscular in nature, to prevail at such the high rates that they do. For instance, this could be things like muscular dystrophy, atrophy due to age or degenerative diseases. This also can include things like injuries. So, my goal in life is to be a DPT PhD student, and what that'll allow me to do is to continue this research, for the rest of my life. And what it'll allow, the end goal is it'll provide academia as well as sports and the strength world more insight into why relative strength works. And for the academia side is, if I, pass on, is that this research will exist so that other people can look further into it. So things such as DNAfit.com looks at certain genetic markers and spits out a profile for you and allows you to understand whether you're better at power, endurance, etc. But what I would like is to look at PT programs and how using certain strength modalities to heal people when they're going through injuries and speed that process up by using genetic therapy in addition to the strength training that is provided in a PT office or OT office, or a orthopedic physician's or surgeon's office, is going to help medicine overall and help mankind in order to understand that there is a better way to dealing with each demographic of the patient that is in front of you, as well as in the strength world, understanding how certain genetic markers make you a better athlete or make you a stronger person overall. And this is the future. The future is looking at genetics and looking at those differences and implying that by these differences, we can change mankind for the better, make us healthier, and overall make us stronger so that we're living a little bit longer and that we're preventing a lot of these diseases that don't need to be there. Over 7.5 million people per year are suffering from muscle diseases. And Dr. Dongsheng Duan, is the first person who's looking at muscle genetic therapy along with other leaders in the field. The textbook that's coming out is Muscle Gene Therapy in May. So this GoFundMe is to purchase that so I can understand it from cover to cover and disseminate that information to you guys. Number one. Number two is to obtain vernier hardware and software so that when I conduct this study, that I'm using the best hardware humanly possible, so that when I crunch numbers, that if it's put in a paper, God willing, or if it's presented to my board that provided the grant that I already currently have to go and study abroad, that they will see that this is substantial research. And this is the reasoning that I'm doing it. I will also be bringing this back to the fitness and strength world so that they can use this for coaching as well. So if you have a particular demographic that you prefer to cater to by looking at how genetic markers and strength training modalities are going to play a role, um, ultimately this is going to be very, very useful for you. Um, I really appreciate you taking the time to listen, and I would be greatly appreciated if we can get to $1,000. Obviously, all of it is going towards the textbook, towards the hardware and the software that's going to be utilized for this research. And as the GoFundMe campaign progresses, I will be updating you guys regularly on this as well as I get closer to the research date. The time frame that I'm looking for is to get all this done by May the 10th, ideally. But however, if things could be done by May 20th, that will be great so that I can actually ship a lot of the hardware to China so that when I do this study, um, I don't have to worry about traveling with a lot of the excess gear. Okay, my name is Deshaun Fairbairn, Fairbarn, and I hope to hear from you guys soon. Any feedback that you have will be greatly appreciated. Thank you and God bless.